Hi, I'm Haja from Webpage, and welcome to the third session of Webpage Fortran Hackerfest. We are going to learn about CSS, Cascading Style Sheets. So let's start. CSS. The CSS styles is the language we use to style the HTML code, and see over here is anatomy of how we write a CSS. But before I describe about the anatomy of the CSS, let's talk about how CSS sees an HTML code. So what you see here is an HTML code, and this is how CSS sees an HTML code or an HTML element. CSS sees an HTML element as a box, right? It looks at it as a box. So every CSS tag, whether it is a container tag, empty tag, or whatever, it's CSS sees it as what? A box, right? So when we start going and we go to our Chrome Dev tool, we shall know what we are saying, right? And what you see here is the structure, the bare bone structure of how CSS is being declared or is being styled or expressed to style a CSS. So the anatomy is of main two parts. We have the selector and the declaration. So the selector can be any HTML code, right? So any HTML tag element, in whether it is an anchor tag, a head, or no, head is not part. We don't start a head. So whether is an anchor tag or img, paragraph, heading, h1, h2, that's the selector. Or it can be a name of an ID or a class. We shall talk about ID, a class, very soon. So that's what the selector. And the declaration, right? The name goes by itself. Declaration, right? So we declare how we want the CSS to look, right? So I declare I want this HTML code to look like this, right? So the declaration is of two parts. We have the properties and value, right? So the property of the declaration can be the name you want it was to declare on what you want the HTML code to be, right? So we want the P, where is the paragraph, right? The selector P, which stands for paragraph. So we are declaring its font family to be have the value of what? Area. So it will have in what? The area what? Text font. So that will be the property. So the font family is the property, and the value will be the what? The area. So let's look at it. So that's how CSS is being what? Written. It's being structured. And normally this style of writing CSS is mainly done for external CSS and internal CSS. So when you're writing external CSS and internal CSS, this is how you write it, right? But when you're writing inline CSS, it has a way of writing. You don't write it this way. You write it as if you're writing an attribute or an HTML tag. Because that one you're writing it in our HTML tag. So let's look at it. So CSS is expressed in three main ways, right? We have the internal CSS, the external CSS styling, and the inline CSS styling. So mostly people normally use the external CSS styling. That's when you need to what? You create a CSS file, which we're coming to create very soon. And when you create a CSS file and you want it to, because it's external, you would like it to what? You want it to express the style in a certain onto a certain web page you've created. You put a link tag, alright, a link element, a link HTML code in the page. Then you put the file name, the file extension name, right, into the link, right, like in the form of URL or source src, and put it in there. then it get expressed with the way, with the expression of how you've done it with the external CSS, right? So that's how it works. So the browser sees the link and it's okay. This style link is for what? This maybe index.css. So you take all the style written there, then express in what? The index.html, right? So we also have the internal CSS. So with the internal CSS too, it's commonly used, especially if you are writing if you're using a web page framework like React, Vue, and Co. Though we have external CSS also for uh web page framework like React, Vue, and Co. Uh, so you can also use this. So with this one, you write it in the head tag, right? So as I said earlier on when I was talking about when we were learning about the HTML code, we said that what there are certain special kind of tags we write them in the head only, right? So example is the style. So the style, you can write the style in the head, right? So the style tag in the head. Then you write it the way, then write the way you express a CSS as I showed in the previous slide. Right. So it's style of writing, right? When you say style of writing, it's called syntax. So when you say syntax, it means what style of writing. So its syntax of writing CSS is the same in what external CSS styling and internal CSS styling. But when it comes to inline CSS, it's different. So inline CSS is written by it's written in the HTML tag, normally in the opening tag of an HTML element or an HTML code. So that's where we write the inline CSS styling. So let's go to our VS Code and let's look at what we are seeing. Let's express some and write our styles over there. So first we will start writing what? An external CSS styling. Okay, so let's start. So let's go to our web studio, our folder web studio, and let's click. So I want to open it straight from the folder, right? So I right click. Now I come to open with code. So you're gonna open it straight from this is our code over here, the code we left off in our previous session. So this the HTML code. We come to the style, right? So we will start with external CSS, external styling. So with external styling, if you want to do external styling for an HTML page, you create a CSS file. So we come here, so you click on the new file, then we create a CSS file for the index HTML. So we're going to name it after the index file. So we're going to do index.css, right? So that's the file extension of CSS. That's file extension of cascading style sheet. It's ending with .css. So right, enter. So it open a new file for us, right? A new workspace for us to type our code, right? So I want us to split the VS Code into two. So I want to split the VS Code into two. So you at the top of the menu bar where you can see the menu button, the file names there. There is this button over here that's being divided into two. So when you click on it, it will split the code into two, right? Taking your index.css file to the right hand side and leaving the other files to the left hand side. So we can go to the index.html, then we can view the HTML code over here. Then we look at it and style it according to the CSS, right? So we look at the tags, then we style it over here. So that's why it's good for you to split the code into two. VS Code has that feature. I mean, you can split the code into multiple forms, right? You can split it again. You can click and split it again. You're going to split again. So, yeah, but this I need only two splits. So, let's do only two splits. Good. So, we are going to start styling. So, our first tag we're going to start will be the H1, right? That's the header one. But first, let's view the code. Let's view how it looks before we start styling so that we can know how our styling has gone into. So this is how it looks in the so that's how it looks in the browser where we let off the other day. So you see that's the way it so you see over here, right? The next page, back page. So this is where we left off with no design. So we are going to start like this. So we're styling this heading over here. So when we are done styling, you will know how it will view. Then maybe With the image, we've already given it attribute with it, so maybe we don't really do mass styling on it. And we're styling the paragraph too. Then we start the next page, right? The link, right? You must create a bottom around it, right? Yeah, well, not mass styling will be done here. So let's start. Let's start with our styling over here. Okay, so back to our VS Code. So we're going back to our VS Code. Then, so let's start. So with H1, we can give it a class or an ID. But here, I want us to do the H1 first as the selector, right? So as explained earlier on, the CSS syntax are made of selectors and decorations, right? So where the class or the HTML tag can be the name of the selector. So let's name it H1. Let's do the name of the tag itself as the selector. So it'll be H1. Then you type our curly braces. So we'll bring it down. So now we start typing, right? So with the H1, I want to give it a form, right? I want to give it a font family. Very nice one. So I see when I type the font, it gives me numerous options, right? Where I can select from. So I'll be using font family, but I want to type it. So try to type it so that the code stick into your fingertips, right? So font family. All right. So press enter. So it automatically generates a semicolon for you. Sorry, it will create a colon, then it will generate a semicolon to end the statement, right? So coding normally when you bring a colon, when make a semicolon ends statement in coding, right? So in CSS, use that method too. So we'll select. So it has given us a numerous font family to select from. So for us, we'll be using Verdana, right? So let's type Verdana. Let's see. So yeah, it gives us Verdana. So you type Verdana, Verdana. So you type enter, right? So it gives us all the fonts from Verdana, right? So you you see here, start Verdana, Geneva, Tahoma, and sans serif, right? So it will tell the browser that first render Verdana for this H1 heading, right? So if there's no Verdana in the browser, use Geneva. If there's no Geneva, use Tahoma. If there's no Tahoma, use sans serif, right? So the last option will be was sans serif. So these are all the same family. So first it's render with Verdana. So it has ended the semicolon naturally for us to end the statement for us. So there's no need for us to type another semicolon again. So let's change the color of the heading, right? So type color. So this time I type the column myself. So I want to use Alice blue, right? I like using Alice blue a lot. That's the color I like using. But it's not really. It doesn't mean it's blue. It's white, but it looks very shiny, kind of white color. So using that one. So yeah. So I end my code with what? A semicolon. Okay. So what next? So the next thing is let's leave the heading like that. I mean, this styling is good for us with the heading. So now let's come and style the paragraph, right? So paragraph, I'm using the P itself, the selector itself, the P as a selector. So I type P, then I type the opening curly braces. So when you type the opening curly braces, automatically bring you the closing curly braces to it. So there's no need for you to type it as to end it. So you press enter for it to get open. Then we type color, right? So I want to change the color of the paragraph, the way it's over here, right? So that one I'll use Alice blue too. Yeah, so I like using Alice blue a lot. It's a nice color, I like using. So Alice color, Alice blue. So this time I use the image, so it automatically gave me the colon and the semicolon for me. So I just type the Alice blue in it. So press enter to come down. Then let's use the font family. Let's use the Geneva, the same thing, right? Font family. Type enter. Okay. Verdana, right? Sorry. Verdana. Then width, right? So if you can look carefully over here, the width is too long, right? The width is very long. If we have to stay it It's really, really, really long. So if you look at the width, you see it's really, really long, right? So I want to just shorten it, but it looks very nice over here, right? So there is very long. So we will start it and bring in the middle over here so that it doesn't cover all the page. It doesn't look nice. It's not UI friendly. So let's go to our code and let's do it. Right. So when you open a code, so the width, right? 17 VW, right? Not 17, not that car. I'm not referring to that car, right? 17 VW, not 17 Volkswagen, right? It's 17 view width. VW means what? View width. So we have parameters of length for in for HTML, right? When I come to a page, we have certain units which we use for length in web page creation. So we will learn more. We have pixel, we have percentage, we have VW, we have point, we have a whole lot, right? So they all serve certain purpose. So yeah, I like to use the view rate, right? Because of certain reasons. So I can use percentage too, but percentage it goes with the platform you are rendering, you're opening the website on, right? So but yeah, so with the VW it will give you a fixed what width. It doesn't matter the platform or the phone, or whether you're opening the website on your phone or a laptop, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so this my styling of P. So let's start. So we start at P2. Now what again should we start? So I would like to start. Okay, so let's view this in the browser. Let's see, right? So it has automatically saved for us, so we can just go straight and view it in our browser. So we go to our browser. We will see it in our browser here. So when we open our browser, then when we refresh, you can see looks like it's not okay. You know why it's not rendering? Because we've not added a link. So you can see we've typed our CSS standard, but it's not affecting it, right? The heading hasn't changed. The program is still long. Why? Because we have not linked it to our HTML code. So it's though we've made styling for index CSS, but it's not linked to the HTML code. So for you to do that, we use this tag called link, right? As I explained earlier on in the slides. So you type link. So it give you its default attribute that links use, right? So we have the style sheet. So the rel attribute here means what? Relationship. So what is this link related to? Because we use link for a whole lot of stuff, not only in linking what a CSS into an HTML page. No, we use link for a whole lot of different purpose, not only linking a CSS file into an HTML page. No. So we have also href. So this is where we put in the URL of the CSS file we want to use to render this HTML page. So we'll go to the index.css, then we'll copy relative path. But yeah, I mean, you can type it straight because it doesn't have a long URL. So right. So let's type. I've just copy. So you can type in anything. So let's type index.css. It's really advisable to still copy and paste because you might misspell something and it may not work, right? And you may be wondering why it's not working, right? Great. So now we've linked our index.css file to our index.html page file. So this index.css file styling I've done here will render or affect any h1p and any heading 1 and any paragraph tags it sees in the index HTML file, right? Great. So let's go to our browser. Let's see how it looks over there. So when you come here, so when you come to the browser and I refresh it, you see that certain things have vanished over here, right? They vanish. They've really vanished away. Because if you can close see, you can see it's there's something lightly blue over there. Because so I highlight it, you won't see it. Because the Alice blue is whitish. It's not really that white, but it's whitish and has slightly blue in it. So let me highlight it and show you. So you can see it over there, right? So this is it. Right. And with the paragraph 2, when I highlight it, this is how it looks. So the paragraph, it looks like the rate I gave it is too small. So I need to increase it. I need to increase the rate, right? So let me give it some nice rate over there. So it will work. So let's go back to our VS Code and let's continue with the styling. So we need to make some works here. So the rate first, let's change the paragraph of the rate because it's too small. So let's make it 40 VW, right? 40 view rate, and we are going to change the paragraph of the body, right? Because we want our H1 to be lightish kind of blue, and we are using Alice blue for that as our H1, which is kind of whitish blue, and the paragraph to the same. So I want to change the background. I want to change the background of our page. So just type body, because it's the body that holds everything that is being displayed on the browser, right? So we give the body a nice background, right? There's this background I know of a body. So background, so it has automatically give us option to select. So you just click enter background color. You click, you type body, you click on it, body color, and it will automatically generate your colon and your semicolon for you. So just type the color you want to put in your body. So I have this RGB, that's color I like using for background. So RGB. So RGB simply stands for red, green, and blue. So as you can see over here, right? Red, green, and blue. Because mainly color mixtures, most the cycle of color, right? The 3 cycle of color, red, green, and blue. That makes that give us all color we have, right? So this one you see A stands for opacity, but we're not using the RGB. We are using RGB. So the A simply means opacity, right? So the amount of opacity we want to use for the background, right? But we are not using the background and opacity, so we're using only the RGB. So when I type RGB, it will give me an automatically option over here, but I would like to change it myself. So with the first one, the red, I'll give it number 8. I'll give it 8. Alright, I'll give it 8. Then with the green, I'll give it 2. Then with the blue option, I give it 24. So it gives us a very nice blue black kind of color. See later. So yeah, so this is it. So we've made some alterations to the index CSS, which will take effect in the index HTML, because we've made a link. We've linked it, which we saw it taking effect when we went to our browser. So let's look at it again and let's see how it has taken effect in the browser. So when I refresh it again, it's gonna give us a nice reflection. Good. So you can see over here, right? Very. So that's making Alice blue, but it's not really white. It's kind of whitish. It's really shiny. I like Alice blue. Very nice. So this is the width of the paragraph 2. So it looks kind of well in line. Right. So but I'll increase it. But I like to increase a little bit, which I'll do that. But you can see of our HTML tags are being close to the edge of this browser over here, which is not really. It's not that UI nicely. It's not that UI friendly. Not really nice. So I like to pull it back. So I like to pull it back. Right. So we have not started the next page, but because the background is being turned to blue, as it has affected the next page color, right? But the next page has not been started. So we're starting very soon too. So let's pull it back. So we will pull it back, as you see. So let's put the body back. So with that, I would like to be using a class for that, right? So in that, I'll be you go to the body. But I want to do something. I want to use the div element. I don't want to disturb the body, so maybe we can maybe do some feature styling. So let's bring a div to hold all the stack, hold the each one image, the paragraph, then this div and the bottom to do there. So let's bring the div to do that. So let's write div. The div can do that because it's an holding tag. So we just cut this one over here, cut it, and we're bringing down here. Paste. All right. So let's type Shift Alt and F and format it for us. So you see it's nicely formatted. So now the div is holding our project for us, but this one, but the body is still the main holding page of the browser, right? So in the div, we want to style it in our index.css, right? Which is our external CSS file, right? So, but I don't use the div, otherwise the styling would alter the div that holds the anchor tag too. So I want to use the div for only this div, right? So that's where the use of us class and ID comes in, right? So maybe you'll be having two paragraphs or two divs, like the way I'm having two divs here, one divs and a div inside the larger div. So if I come here and I type div, right, and I type div and I give it a star, maybe let's say black, and I write a star for it, it will affect both of them, right? But here I want to let it affect only this. But in this case, what I'm doing here is going to affect all of them too. So let's use. So we come here, we're not be using div. So let's give it a class name. So you type class. When you press enter, it will give you the option. It will give you the an equal to sign and a quotation mark, opening and closing quotation mark. Then you type the name of how you want to name the class. So I'll be naming body design. So it will be body design, right? So if I want to use this class here, I'll start with a dot, right? The dot body design. Great. So I'll come down here and I give it a margin because I want to pull it out from the right. It's too big there. So I give it a margin of let's say 10 10%. This time I'm using the view width and height. I'll be using percentage because percentage it's kind of, it moves with the device you'll be opening on, right? So when I go to the browser and when I open it, you see what I'm talking about. And when I refresh it, yeah, you see it has moved from this part, right? It has shifted from this part and giving me this, right? Great. So that's how it looks. So that's the margin I just typed. So it has also given me the top margin to be 10, but you know we can scroll it and make it nice. So it's left with one last style in the beginning. That's the next page paragraph, right? So let's start that one too. So let's go to our VS Code and let's start that one too. So let's start the anchor tag here. So the anchor tag too is being enclosed in the div. So we can use the div because we've replaced the bigger div with the class. But I want us to use the ID so that you know how ID is being used. So using ID, just type ID, then bring what equal to, then it's opening quotation mark and a closing quotation mark. By this time it gave me, right, it gave it to be automatically. So let's give it a name. So we're going to name it anchor link. Okay, let's say anchor link. So for you to use, so let's go to index CSS and let's start it. So for you to use the ID there, you type the hashtag, right? Hashtag. Then inside with the anchor link of the ID, right? So that is anchor link, right? So then bring our opening curly braces. It's close for us automatically. Then we start with our styling, right? So let's give the bottom a height of 3 VH, right? 3 visual height. Then we give it a width of, let's give it a width of 5 VW. And let's I want to give it a padding, right? A padding of let's say 8 px from bad. So let me give it a padding of 8 px. That's 8 pesos. Then border radius. So I'll explain the border radius very soon. So when we view on the browser, I'll see what the border radius is all about. The border radius, let's give it a 4.5 pixel. Then the background of the bottom, right? So I like it to be brown, right? So let me so yeah, so I normally when it's brown, I have this nice RGB I normally use. So RGB RGB 124. Okay, listen, I've forgotten. So let me just type brown and let me select it. I've forgotten that RGB. Great. So if you want to style it, if you want to give it a nice kind of brown wish, you just come here, right? You see, you just bring your cursor over it. So it give it a color for you to mix it. So let me mix it. Let me see. 1 2 8. Great. So 1 2 4. Let's see. I can get 1 2 4. If we don't get a 1 2 4, let's use anything we get over there. So let me see. Okay, let's this one. This one will be cool. Right. So let's look at how it looks in the browser. But I want us to change the color of the anchor tag to, right? So you just type color. So let's bring the color here. Color. Oh, what do I do? Then let's Alice blue, right? Looks like our this type is giving us some, I don't know. Let's view it in our browser. Let's take a look of how it looks. So when I open it, when I refresh it, so you can see it over here, right? Deliver written. But it's like the Alice blue, the color didn't really appear. I don't know. So okay, so let me explain the border radius. You see this border, right? It should have been in a rectangle form, but I gave it 4.8 or so. So that's giving us a curve point, right? So now it looks really like a bottom for us, but it's still not the next page is down. So let's go back to our code and let's fix it. Let's fix it in our code. So the color do not change. So it doesn't change still. So let me start it straight, the anchor tag. So since we have only one A, we can start it straight. So I type A as a selector, curly braces. Let me cut this from the anchor link design. And let me put it in here. Let's put it in the anchor selector space. Good. And let's view how it looks in the browser now. Let's refresh. Okay, so it's now Alice blue, but you can see it's still underlined, right? So let's take that line and let's extend this one a little bit over here. So let's go back to our VS Code and let's do it. So with the anchor tag design here, we're gonna well, we're gonna take the text being underlined, right? So we're gonna type test decoration. Test decoration. So these are all CSS styles for test, right? They hold us. Test decoration. Then we type none. So we don't want any styling of the test there. Right? But that doesn't mean the color will give it a zero color, no. Because we've stated the color over here. So anything you want to degrade it, you need to set it here. Because we've commanded it to it should give us the text decoration to be none. And now the paragraph, let me turn it to 52 VH. Okay, so let's look how it looks in the browser. Okay, so this so let me refresh it. So you can see it has removed the line, the underline over there. Then the text has increased, right? It has increased its width for us. So this is how beautiful we have designed our index page. So when I click next page, we go back here. So in here, I want us to do some decoration over here, right? I want us to bring this one back here, and the bottom to want us to decorate it. So let's go to our VS Code and do that. So this is going to be very simple over here. So with this, we will need to create another index CSS for it. But you can use the same index CSS for both of the two. But since we've named it index CSS, it's really advisable to create it. So maybe in case we want to style the table, style it. So let's create new CSS file. So this one is going to be next page.css, right? It comes over here. So we have our index CSS and our next page CSS here on the same divided panel workspace. So first, I want us to copy this. Let's copy this. I mean, you can type, but there's no need for us to type there. So let's paste it here. And let's come here. I want us to copy the body here too, right? This time over here. Someone says, so why are you copying just this small thing? No, sorry. Just copy. Someone says, so why are you copying this small thing? Yeah, because, I mean, why should I type? Well, else I can copy. Right? It's not like being lazy. Yeah. We don't like to repeat ourselves. That's why we do dry. There's a principle in coding called dry. Don't repeat yourself. So we don't do things repeat ourselves since it's already there. So there's no need for me to repeat myself. So let's go to our next page. And let's so we have an anchor tag over here too. But we need to bring the div here. We need to bring this anchor link here too. Right? But it's really advisable for you to create a general CSS for features that will be both in index HTML and next page HTML, so that you don't normally just double write as what I'm doing over here. So I'm doing this because this is not a large website. So like if it was to be a large website, I'll create a general CSS called down name it to general.css that will entail every link that can be found in whether index HTML or next page HTML or other HTML pages, right? So that's it. So but yeah, it's just small, so that's why I'm just copying and pasting there. So we've already copied, so yeah, we can copy this. And let's paste this over here. Let's paste it over here. Can press Control V for paste. So for this style to take effect, first we must bring the link over here. So even with the link, we can choose to copy. You come to the index HTML page, you copy straight. Because sometimes the link can be somehow weird and long, so that you don't need to retype the link URL and all stuff to just make mistake. So you can just copy. Let's copy it over here. But we'll be changing the index CSS over here. So you just type the index, don't type all, so that you become productive. So we will type next page, right? You see, so it has even copied for us next page. So we have linked this index, this external CSS file we've created to our next page, right? So we have the next page.css external CSS file we've created in our next page.html file we have over here. So we have it in link in there. So we come here, the div here, then we give it a class, right? So it's an ID. It was an ID. So type ID. Then you type the name of the ID, right? So it's an anchor link. Anchor link. Okay. So we come to the body. So I think that would be the. Yeah. Then we have the body too. In the body we have a class in there. So we type class. Then we type body design. Right. Great. So let's see how it looks in our browser. So when I go there and refresh it, great, and I click next page, you can see it has taken effect, right? It has taken effect. So there's it. So in here, the margin is too huge, it's too big for this, right? So let's go grab VS and change some stuffs over there, because it's too huge for us. So let's go to the VS Code. So let's change the body design to percentage that. So let's do it 7%. That will be more suitable for the page. And let's go to the anchor tag. See, the bottom was too large, kind of stuff. So let's, and it was very close to the table too. So let's give it a margin. So let's say margin will be MA. So you type margin hyphen top. Yeah, you type top to it. Bring your column. Then you give it value. So the value will be given it to be let's say 2%. Well, yeah, 2% will be cool. So 2%. Yeah. It looks like there's some problem here. Okay, let's see the problem. Short-term property set value for thickness of the. So we didn't end the statement. That's why it gives us a problem. So you always end your CSS statement with what? With a semicolon, so that it didn't give it error. Otherwise, we delete it, it gives an error, right? So let's bring our semicolon. All right, so let's view it in our browser. Let's see how it looks. So you can see when we click on it, when you go to the next page, you see it has taken effect over here, right? So the back home has it's no more closer to the table like it was first. So yeah, so we can continue and design the table more, right? So I mean, I want to design the table more, give it more style to the table. So it's very easy. Don't try to, let me show you. You can, when you come to the table, right? Table. So you can say, okay, you can come here table. So you can take a table rule 1, right? Take it, come here, right here. You bring your curly braces, right? You can give it a background color, nice background color to be maybe blue. right? Give it aqua, right? So you can change whatever you want, right? You can change the style of everything. As far as you have the tag there, you can even give it a class name to change the whole of style. So it depends on you, right? So depend on how you want to make it look. So I would advise you to try designing the table. So you see, when I made it aqua, you see, that's giving a nice table over here, right? Nice one. So you can play with it. You can play with it, right? You can play with it as you want. Yeah. So that's the beauty of CSS. So it's out. So it's what it designed. It gave the background to all of the three, because I didn't what specify by giving a special kind of class or ID, right? Great. So play with it, play it around with, play around it, or so I want you to play around it, or so. Okay, so this is external CSS. So if we want to do internal CSS, we will use the star link, right? The star tag. So we'll be writing. So you come to the head. So the star tag are written in the HTML page head, right? So you come to the head HTML element, then write the style tag in it. So that's where we're writing our internal CSS styles in, right? So you write style. So the style tag is a holding tag. It has the opening tag and a closing tag, right? So you bring it down. So then we come to our index. So this is the next page, and this is the index. So we come to the index, then we copy all of it. So let's cut it, because we now are going to start the index.html in it, right? In its head element. So that's where we start it. That's where the start tag is being put. So you can't put a start tag in the body, unless maybe you're doing inline CSS. So let's put it in the head. Then so let's paste it there. Great. So we pasted it there. So now since now we are using so you press Shift Alt and F to format it and make it nice, make it look very nice. So now since now we are using the internal CSS, we don't need a link over here, right? So let's comment it out. So for you to do comments in CSS in HTML, you press Control and /, right, and comment it out. So there's something called commenting in, right? So we comment code normally, in case maybe someone is reading it, the person know what the code is all about. So let's say I want to comment the paragraph over here, right? So in commenting in HTML, you start with the less than sign, right? Start with the less than sign. Then you bring an exclamation mark in there. Then you bring in a hyphen, right? 2 hyphen in there. So you can see when I finish typing in 2 hyphen, it gave me the closing tag of the comment, right? So in here, you type what the paragraph is all about. So we say this paragraph is about my coding journey, right? So my coding journey, right? So we can comment in what codes, right? Well, we can also comment in what in CSS2, right? So that one, it comments start with of 2//. So the best way for you to know the comment syntax in a kind of language, you just press Control and /, because most languages have their own style of writing comments in it. So in CSS, if you don't know the syntax in writing comment, you just press Control // it gives to you. So this is how we comment in CSS, right? So you can type anything here. Styling my anchor, right? Great. So that's a little bit about commenting. So in here, we've comment out the link. right? And commenting tool can be used in debugging, right? In checking error our code. So you can use comment to debug our code. So we can delete it totally. I mean, we don't really need it now. So yeah. So, but when we go to, so we've deleted linking us to the index what CSS, because with the index CSS there's not even style written in it. So we've cut it and put it in our style tag in the head, right? It's over here. So let's look at how whether if we can still have the view of it, right? So let's go to our browser. Let's see it. So let's refresh and let's see whether how it look. So you see, when we refresh it, it still remain the same. Still remain the same, though we've deleted the link tag from our HTML page, right? So we can click it, send out back home, right? So that's it. That's the beauty of internal CSS. So let's go to inline CSS and let's see how that one too looks, right? So let's go to our VS Code and let's see how that one too looks. So when you come to the so inline CSS is very easy. It's like you write an attribute, right? So let's take the paragraph design here out of this place, right? And let's style it in as inline, and let's look at how it looks. So if we want to do inline CSS in any of the HTML tag, right, you just come in there and write it like write an attribute. So we use this attribute name called style, because we are styling, right? So you see, when I type style, it just give it to me. So style, then bring your equal to. So then it will give you your opening quotation mark and closing quotation mark. So in here, we'll be typing our style there, right? That's where we type in our style there. So with the style, let's look at what we gave, the style we gave to the paragraph P. So the color was Alice blue, the font family was Verdana, and the width was 52 width, was 52 hue height, right? So let's come to the color. So we type color, you open colon. So we type Alice blue. So Alice blue is there, you type. So you end it. So there's with inline 2, you must end it with what? With a semicolon 2 in there. End with a semicolon. Then you type another star. So we type the font family 2 there. So font family. So this is the font family. I'll just type the Verdana. I'll not type the whole of the family in there, right? So font family colon. I just type Verdana. I'll be typing the Jennifer and Kono. I just need the Verdana, right? And end with a semicolon. Then we bring in the width, right? The width was 52 hue width, right? So we type width, bring our colon. Then we type 52 width. No, not 54, 52 UW. Right, then we end with our semicolon. Okay, great. So let's save it. And let's comment this out, right? So when you comment, the code, the browser won't read it, right? The comments are not being read. That's why we can use it. So let's comment it out. Control / it's been commented out. So the browser won't read it. It won't read it, right? Let's go to our browser and let's see how it looks there. So when I refresh it, you see I'll still get my same old my style, right? My style haven't changed. So I'm still getting my same old style. It won't change, right? It hasn't changed. So when I refresh, you see I'm still getting the same old style over there. Though we've taken it out from the inline CSS, and though we've taken it out from the internal CSS and we've made it an inline, but it's still not changing because the inline CSS also works, right? So let's go back to our VS Code and let me show you something. So whenever you are coding, right, whenever you are doing CSS, it gives you priority. There's priority for each of it. So if if I'm using all the three styles of CSS styling, right? If I'm using the inline, the internal, and the external CSS style of styling, the browser will prioritize the inline first before it will prioritize the internal, before it will prioritize the external, right? So let's delete the external CSS. We're not using it anymore, so we can delete it. So we can delete this over here since we don't need it anymore, right? Great. So the browser will read the inline CSS first before it will read the internal CSS first before it will read the external CSS. So if you have a design, right? If you design for the paragraph P, right? So let me bring back the what I just deleted over here. If you have the paragraph P over here, right? This paragraph, if you have the paragraph P over here, and I give the color, I name it to be what? Red. I want it to be red, right? Good, red. So, but with inline, it is Alice blue, and with the internal, it is red over here. With the internal says it is red over here. So let me go to the. So when I go to the index CSS, right, I want to only style the P, and I want to give it a color to be. So let me color the P in our external CSS to be let's say green, right? Let me give it green, right? Green. So and let me bring back the link. Let me bring back the link over here. Let me link it. So let me bring the index.css. Okay, great. So now we have the paragraph styling color, which I've defined it in, which is being defined in inline CSS. Internal CSS is being defined in inline CSS as Alice blue. Internal CSS as red over here. Then external CSS as green. But whenever we render the web page, the HTML web page in the browser will take the inline styling first, right? It prioritizes the inline styling first before it will take what? The internal styling as second. Then it will take the external styling as third option, right? So the inline styling is always the first option for the browser, right? It takes the styling in the inline styling of a HTML tag as its first option. Then it takes what? So if there's no color styling for the P style, it will take the internal CSS as the second option, right? Now, if there's no internal CSS styling for the P tag, for the paragraph tag, it will take the external CSS, which is green color, as well the third option. So when we go to our browser and I refresh it, you see the color will still remain what? Alice blue, because it's prioritizing what? P paragraph, the P tag, right? The paragraph what? The paragraph tag what first, right? The inline tag, the inline styling first, right? It's prioritizing the inline styling what first? P paragraph tag first. So let's check the browser and let's see what I'm talking about over here. So when we go to your browser and let's refresh, you can see our next page is still what? Alice blue, right? It's still Alice blue. So we did it for only the index HTML, so still was Alice blue, right? Still Alice blue after refreshing, right? Still Alice blue. But when I delete the color for the paragraph P, in its inline CSS away, when I delete away, so now when it comes to the paragraph for the color for paragraph, the browser will use the internal CSS red, it won't take the external CSS style. Let's see that one too in our browser. Let's see what I'm talking about. See what I'm talking about. So when I refresh it, you see it will turn to color red. See, it has turned to color red, but not the green rather. Right? It has turned to what? Color red. So when we go back again, and when I delete, when we go back to our VS Code, and I comment, and when I delete this one out, right, it will take the color green as its what color design for the p tag, right, for the paragraph tag, as this was designed, because there's no color design for the paragraph tag in internal CSS and what inline CSS too, right? So the browser will take the external CSS as what the design for it. So when we go to our browser and when we see it right there, and when I refresh it, it will turn to what green, right? So that's how what the browser reads CSS, right? It takes the inline CSS first as its first option, then it takes the internal CSS as the second option, then it takes the external CSS as the third option. So let's go back to our code and let's use Alice Blue as our internal CSS. Okay, so let's come back here. Color. So we take Alice Blue, right? So when we go back to our browser, when we refresh it, it's turned out back to the Alice Blue. So it has taken the inline CSS as its first option. So that's CSS for you. That's CSS for you, right? So I would advise you to give more styling to this table I've created here, right? Can start only this row to be red, and start only the top one to be blue. I mean, just play around it, right? Start it. So yeah, that's our CSS for you. This web page I created, this website I created, just to show you how HTML and CSS works, right? We didn't really build any kind of commercial website. We are just showing you how it works, right? How it works behind it. So our next session will be the hosting of our website, right? So with that one, we'll be using the get we downloaded earlier on in our first session. I told you to download when we were downloading the softwares for the coding sessions. So we'll be doing hosting in our next session, and that's all for CSS for now. So have a nice day and see you in the next session.